皆さん、こんにちは。元気ですか? Today I'm here to share you vocabulary tips, tips to memorize more quickly vocabulary that I still use to practice Japanese. Today I have many more, but today I will show or share with you 2 tips to practice vocabulary. So let's go. First tip that I have to study vocabulary, to memorize vocabulary better said, is to try to adapt or use the words that you are learning in your daily life. For example, if you are currently learning the hours, I recommend to you a video that I did a few weeks ago about the hours. But for example, if you are currently learning the hours in Japanese, I recommend you to when you check the hour in, for example, you check the hour like that or like that, try to think that hour in Japanese in your head. So that's also very useful. I'm also using it with Korean and it really works well. If you know a little bit more, because when you are starting, there are just a few things that you can practice. For example, the numbers or the hours or a few vocabulary that you just learned. For example, when you pick a pencil, you could think enpitsu, like that. But if your level is a little bit higher, you've been studying for a few months, try to think in Japanese. At least that's what I do. I usually tend to think in Japanese. It's something that I did. I forced myself a little bit to think in Japanese, and when I'm aware, I try to think in Japanese. So while you are thinking and you are trying to make sentences in Japanese in your brain, it's more easy to notice the vocabulary that you are lacking. For example, if you want to express something, for example, you want to say yesterday, or you want to think yesterday I ate pizza, and you don't know how to say, for example, eat. You'll think kino pizza, and you will, okay, I don't know the verb to eat, and you can search that. So also trying to think in Japanese is very useful. I still do it to practice. Of course, the grammatical mistakes that you do in your brain, nobody can correct them, but it's just about vocabulary, so just try to think in Japanese and use Japanese as much as you can in your daily life. So this would be the first tip that I give you. The second one is one that I use by writing. So, for example, let's imagine you want to learn a list of words. You are practicing 40 and 5, or you just saw a list of words with your Japanese teacher. And you have, for example, or you have this book and you want to learn the chapter 5 words, for example. This trick or method or whatever that I use, it's very useful to memorize vocabulary, but the thing is, it's usually you need to have vocabulary that's kind of related. Why? Because what I recommend you to do when you have an amount of words that you need to learn or practice is actually you grab your notebook or you grab a sheet of paper and you try to write an essay with all the words that you need to learn, with all of them. So you try to incorporate those words in your essay. For example, you just learned basic verbs, to eat, to see, or watch, to drink. So for example, you write about one day in your life and you try to incorporate all the words that you learned over there. Once you've done that, you highlight the words that are new for you. If you're just a beginner, the highlighted words will be quite old text, but you highlight the words that you just learned, and then you just leave it there for a few days. Then you go back to it and you read it again. And when you read it again, you know that the highlighted words are new, and you can actually see if you learned those words or not, if you remember the meaning or not. The text needs to be fully in Japanese. Don't write any English or your native language. Don't translate it there. Just leave it 100% Japanese, and you reread it again in a few days and you check. If you don't know for sure you've memorized some words, but the ones that you didn't memorize, you can make that exercise again. You can put a star on those that you didn't fully remember, and you can read it again, of course. I also do that. But you could also write another essay again, or you could write not an essay, but a few sentences that have those words. So I hoped this video was useful for you. I hope you liked this video, and see you in another one. またね!